Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Exchange Fund Medium Artist in Residence info session. We're so glad you're here. We have a lot to go over as far as what's accepted as far as a residence at the Medium. And we'll go over the application and staff and what that looks like. We're going to go over some application details and then additional support and resources that we have available. I've already mentioned, but just to reiterate, please use the chat to ask us questions. We're here for you, and DM Thalia if you'd like to remain anonymous. Here's our team. We're all on this Zoom today as well, so you're welcome to reach out to any of these individuals. I am Amber Paradin, the Artist and Community Manager. John Wayne Farr is on here. He's our General Manager here at the Medium. Thalia Madewell is our Operations Manager. Cynthia Tran is our Events in Front of House Coordinator, and Kevin is our Back of House and Production Coordinator. These are the humans that you will be interacting with during your Creative Exchange Fund process. We'll talk more about what that looks like, but we are absolutely here for you and we want to see you succeed. The Creative Exchange Fund. What a cool thing. This program is here to support artists, creatives, and cultural organizers with funding and free space to take creative risks. With 5 different opportunities, the Creative Exchange Fund helps bring bold and experimental performances, community events, artist residencies, and exhibitions to life at the Medium in downtown Springdale. Hopefully, most of you have rendezvoused with us before and you've been to the space or driven past the space. We're located in downtown Springdale at 214 South Main Street. This is a 25,000 square foot space dedicated to removing barriers between creatives, their work, and their audiences by providing accessible studio, rehearsal, performance, and exhibition space. All of the Creative Exchange Fund projects will take place here, including your residency. I'm going to go over some additional sort of housekeeping, and the topics I'm going to cover today can also be found on our website. I'm just going to walk you through that briefly so you know where to find this information. If you would like, our website can be translated into Spanish. If you see the pink hand in the bottom left-hand corner, just click that button and it will translate our site into Spanish for you for easier navigation. And then otherwise, if you go up to the top right-hand corner and click menu, our website, by the way, is themedium.art, not .com, themedium.art. Click on the menu and it will take you to this page. Click on programs. And then the Creative Exchange Fund is one of our programs here. You should explore our other programs, by the way, too. They're pretty cool. But the Creative Exchange Fund, you click that and it will take you to this page. And then you can click on any of these funding opportunities to learn more about the eligibility, previous projects that have come through. A couple of videos are on these pages. This is a great resource for you all as you're considering applying to the Artist in Residency. All the information about the Creative Exchange Fund lives on this website, including a really robust frequently asked questions section, and we'll go over some of those at the end of this info session. Words are hard for me today. I don't know what's happening. Here are all of the funding opportunities. We are so fortunate to have over $147,000 to put directly into the hands of local, regional, and some national artists. The Medium and Artist in Residence is what we're going to go over today. We have 8 of these awards this year, offering $3,000 each. The Medium Artist Residency provides practicing 2D and 3D visual artists a creative studio space for 6 weeks. And this also includes 3 weeks for move-in and out, allowing them to take creative risks, expand artistically, and build relationships with the community. This is a photo of Maria Pineda, who was one of our artists in residence last year. This is her in one of the studio spaces here at the Medium. A few more details. A reminder, we have 8 of these awards this year to give out. Artists will receive $3,000 and a 6-week residency with 3 weeks for move in and move out. And you will be placed in one of 2 classrooms or studio spaces that we have at the front of the building. That 3-week move in and move out, if you're strategic, you could have a 9-week residency. It's basically a grace period depending on the girth and magnitude of the things that you need to bring into your studio and then move out of your studio. We've tried to give you ample amount of time for that transition. But if you don't have a lot, you could technically move in sooner and have a little bit extra time than that 6 weeks. But the residency in total is 6 weeks. I know I'm moving pretty quickly, so please feel free to ask questions in the chat. I've said this before, but I think it's important to reiterate that this program, there's just a lot of nuances to the program from all the 5 different funding opportunities, and then trying to understand each of the rules and expectations around each of those. It's a lot of information, and we acknowledge that. So that's why we offer these info sessions. That's why our whole team is here. So please feel free to ask questions in the chat, even if you feel like you should maybe already know that. That's okay, just ask it. We're here for you. We want to help you have total clarity so when you walk into your application process, you feel confident. Here's the eligibility for the Medium Artist in Residence. You must be at least 18 years old to apply. That's true for all of the Creative Exchange Fund opportunities. This particular opportunity is for practicing 2D and 3D visual artists. Artists must reside in Benton or Washington counties of Northwest Arkansas. This is one of the opportunities, one of the funding opportunities through the Creative Exchange Fund that's limited to Benton and Washington County, primarily because this is not a live-in artist residency. We're only offering you a free studio space. So it makes sense that this is only for locals that are close by that can commute back and forth to their residence. Things to keep in mind with this residency, your project must take into account studio dimensions, including a ceiling height of 8 feet. So that limits some artists in their practices, including woodworking, welding, foundry work, glass blowing, and other related materials and mediums are not eligible to apply just due to those facility limitations. We don't have ventilation in these rooms. It's literally a classroom with a drop ceiling. We do have access to, you will have access to a sink and cabinets to store your work and a table and of course electricity. But because of that, we're limited and we cannot accept all mediums. So keep that in mind. If you have a question about the medium that you're working with and if it would work well here, DM us, chat, throw your question in the chat or email us later and we can talk about it. Artists in residence will be required to host an open studio event during our pre-assigned visual art night. We'll talk more about this in a moment, but essentially the visual art night is think of it as like an artist reception night. Excuse me. We will have a reception in the main hall for the Spectra series. They'll have an exhibition up in the gallery. And then we ask that the 2 artists in residence also open up their studios so that the public can come through and interact. So that's one of the requirements for the artist in residence, which is usually a fun night. It brings in new customers and new audiences to see your work. If you've received the Medium Artist in Residence funding opportunity before, you're not eligible to apply again, but you can apply to any of the other opportunities. If you have questions about that, let us know. Here's what the footprint looks like. Here's a snapshot of the medium. And those 2 highlighted areas, classroom 1 and 2, those will be the artist studio spaces. So you can see it's right by the main entrance. You'll be able to access the space pretty easily. The restrooms are right across the hall from you. So it's a pretty nice setup. And you would have, the studio would be private. It would be yours. You're not sharing it. We'll talk about that in a second, about keys and such. What's possible in your studio? These are images from former artists in residence. I've got a series of these images that I want to show you just so you can kind of get inspiration and see what's possible in the rooms. This here on the left is Megan Papivallo. She was an artist in residence last round, and she was exploring, well, I won't go into her project, but she printed these flyers and put them all over the wall in her room and totally transformed her studio. And it was pretty incredible installation. And it really made a big impact. And so she opened up her studio for the visual art night for people to come in and experience that. On the right, I am blanking on her name, but this is an example of some 3D work that's possible in the space. This is paper mache, and she was sculpting in the space. Vic Barkwin, there it is. I knew it would come to me. This is Leah Grant. She did a residency with us. And just as a reminder, we're pretty open to what's possible in the space. We've listed off the no woodworking, welding, foundry work, or other practices that require heavy ventilation will not be allowed. We do not have floor drains or shop sinks or 220-volt outlets. That's relevant to some of you doing ceramics and other things like that. We do have regular 110 outlets and a standard stainless steel kitchen type sink. So keep that in mind. Artist studios are equipped with wood top tables, table lamps, chairs, cabinets, sink, and white walls. You can kind of get an idea of that in this image with Markeith Woods, who was also an artist in residence. So you can see the table back there, kind of a basic setup, and then you're welcome to move in any equipment that you'd like to that's relevant to your residency. I think it's just important to point out too that this is a fantastic space to document your work. Depending on what you're doing, these white walls make for a great backdrop for you to either use your funding to hire a professional or to just take the opportunity to work with someone to professionally document your work so that you can go on to the next residency. This is an image from one of the Spectra exhibitions that we had in our main hall last year by Amber Emery. Beautiful exhibition. And just as a reminder, all artists in residence and Spectra Series recipients will be required to participate in the Visual Art Night, which we call VAN. This is a collective artist reception and event on one predetermined evening for greater social impact. So we like to cross-pollinate audiences. So your friend group and family group that attends your open studio inevitably gets to experience another artist in residence and an exhibition. And so we like that crossover of new audiences that happen. It's a pretty cool night. The Medium will provide the materials and things like that for the artist reception for the van night. This is important to note. You're welcome to use your studio to lead workshops or sell your artwork and keep 100% of the sales. Basically, you will receive a key with 6 weeks access to your private art studio. And then again, you'll have 3 additional weeks to move in or out for a total of 9 weeks access. We will give you a key to the front door and give you a private key to your art studio. And if you decide you want to host a community gathering or lead a workshop in your studio, that's totally up to you. So keep that in mind while you're planning. You could also host your own pop-up exhibition if that's something you're interested in, where you can sell your artwork. It's available to sell. You're also welcome to sell it on the night of the visual art night. We encourage artists. We want you to make money. We want you to capitalize on this moment if you choose to. You don't have to do that, but it's a good opportunity to sell your work, or at least put price tags on it and see if you can sell it. As you're considering applying for the artist in residency, A fantastic resource and a great place to start is to go through our artist archive of previous recipients. You can click on any of these individuals and you can literally read their project description that they submitted for their grant application. It's an abbreviated version of what they submitted, but that it gives you an idea of what's been accepted in the past. And so when you're trying to craft your approach and figure out how to make the best application, that's a great place to start just to get inspired and see what's possible. So I encourage you to go through there and click through all of these. Okay, about the application. Here's what we're going to be asking for on the application, and we've shared the percentage points that will go towards your score. So applications open April 17th and close on May 5th at 5 o'clock. So take the time now to start just drafting your ideas in a Google Doc or something, and start kind of hammering out what you want to do. So when that April 17th hits, you feel prepared to start working on your application deeper. Here's what we're going to ask: basic information, contact details, what your discipline is, and optional demographic info. And then your project. Tell us about your idea in simple terms, what you're creating, why it matters, and how it connects to the Creative Exchange Fund. Risk-taking and exploration. We're going to talk more about that in a moment, but this is an important component that's worth 35% of your score on your application. So share how your project steps outside the box, experiments with new ideas, or challenges the norm from what you normally do in your artistic practice. This aligns directly with the risk-taking and innovation scoring category on the application. Again, this is worth 35% of your application. We'll talk about that more in just a moment, but if you have questions about what that means for you, let us know in the chat. How does your project step outside the box? What does that look like? How are you going to experiment with new ideas or challenge the norm from your everyday artistic practice? We're also going to ask about your grant funding and experience. Let us know if you've received a grant before and how the Creative Exchange Fund could help support your creative work. We prioritize artists that have not traditionally received a lot of grant funding before. So that's important to know. So don't feel intimidated if you feel like if you don't have a lot of experience, that's okay. We are cheering you on. We want you to start somewhere, and the Medium's a great place to start. Your residency. This is sort of generic for all of the Creative Exchange Fund applications. We prioritize applicants who live in Arkansas, especially in Benton and Washington counties, and for the Medium Artist Residency, only Benton and Washington counties. But the closer your connection to these areas, particularly Springdale, the higher your score. This aligns directly with the residency scoring category worth 15%. And then a continuation, local participation and project impact. Who will your project impact and how will they participate? Through collaboration, workshops, performances, or other interactive elements. This is worth 10% of your application. For artists in residence, that might raise questions for you, like how do I need to impact other people? Do I need to involve other people? Ask that in the chat. Let's kick it around and help you feel confident about what the heck that layer is on the application. Planning and feasibility. Give us a quick snapshot of your timeline, the budget, and any key collaborators that you're thinking of working with to show that you're ready to roll. That's worth 10% of your application scoring. And then supporting materials. Add any images, videos, or past work samples that help bring your vision to life. Show us what you're making. Show us what you're hoping to make. What does that look like? If you have links to videos that you think might help your case, share those with us. That's worth 5% of your application. It could even be sketches. It doesn't have to be a photograph. If you don't have an image of what you're trying to do, sketch it out or spell it out for us so we can better understand what you're trying to achieve. Again, applications open April 17th. That's coming up in a couple weeks. And they close on May 5th. So it's like a 2.5 week application period. So it's a quick turnaround. We encourage you to start now. What makes a strong application? A strong CXF application clearly explains what you want to do, why it matters, and how you plan to make it happen. We're looking for bold, creative risks, projects that push boundaries, try new ideas, or engage the community in fresh ways. And we also prioritize first-time grant recipients and projects that impact Northwest Arkansas. A great application includes a realistic plan, timeline, budget, and collaborators, and supporting materials, past work, sketches, or links that will help bring your vision to life. I know whenever you sit down to write a grant, you want to show off and you want to be, you want to sound smart and polished, but sometimes just keeping it clear and specific and show your heart just a little bit, that's all we're looking for. So don't overthink this, don't overcomplicate it. We'll talk about who's reviewing these applications too in just a moment, but I think that just know that you're talking to other regular people. So you don't have to use fancy language or worry about grammar too much. Just be specific, explain your creative risk, describe the impact you're hoping to make, whether on yourself or the community or other locals. Show your readiness. A strong application includes a budget, timeline, and an execution plan. I'd like to move in on this date, and I'm going to get started on this project, and then at this point, I'm going to experiment with this and that. That's what that looks like. Pretty straightforward. And then provide quality supporting materials to the best of your ability. A strong application clearly describes your project, its impact, and how you will execute it successfully. All right, evaluation and selection process. We've touched on this just a little bit. This is mostly here to reiterate that producers in mixtape music series are not going to go through sort of a juried process. They're going to go through an eligibility selection process, but the Medium Artist in Residency platform and Spectra will all be reviewed by a panel based on the following weighted criteria that we've already gone over. But risk-taking, your grant and funding experience, the local participation and the project impact, planning and feasibility, and supporting materials. Who is paneling the Creative Exchange Fund? We are inviting a few select previous Creative Exchange Fund recipients that have been in the seat that you're in right now. We believe that they offer a unique perspective on the program as far as applying to it and having gone through the system. On the other side, I think they offer a well-rounded perspective. So some previous CXF recipients, the Medium team here and Cash staff, and then other various members of the creative community that are leading good work, and then the Tyson Family Foundation, who is the generous sponsor of the Creative Exchange Fund. Okay, this is an important one and maybe worth screenshotting for you to chew on later. Because this layer is worth 35% of your application, we really want to provide clarity for you on what we're looking for. But what is creative exploration and risk-taking? What the heck does that mean? Before I read these, I want to say out loud to you, we're really looking for people to expand on what you're currently working on in whatever way that looks like for you. If you are traditionally an oil painter, but you want to create a series of digital paintings and host an open studio to show your work and your experimentation and what that looks like, and you want to share that with the community, that's a creative risk. You're jumping from one medium to another. You're figuring out how to layer those two. That's creative exploration. You're really walking around that your traditional medium and trying to push the bounds a little bit. That's one example of creative exploration, but it gives you an example of what that kind of looks like. Creative risk-taking is the act of stepping into the unknown by experimenting, reaching new audiences, or collaborating in ways that may not have a guaranteed outcome. So a good example of this is for the Platform Fund, but maybe a spoken word artist applies for Platform, but they want to collaborate with a musician in a dance group for the first time, and they are going to mix poetry, music, and projected art. Since they've never worked together before, they're unsure how all of this is going to turn out, but they propose taking the risk to create something new and share it with a combined audience. Hopefully that clarifies a little bit what we're looking for with creative exploration and risk-taking. A good example, let me see if I have an image. I'm going to go back to, actually, I think I took that image out, but I will tell you about an artist that I like to use as an example that received the artist in residency program. I think it was a couple years ago. Lisa Cruz is her name. She is traditionally a ceramic artist. She has a ceramic studio at her house that she describes as a messy, dirty studio. There's powder, there's glazes, there's clay that needs to be rehabbed back into wet clay. And that's how she normally works every day as an artist, but she's been collecting paper and collage work for years, and she wanted to expand what she normally does and work in collage work and experiment with that. So that was something different and new for her. And she couldn't necessarily do that in a clean space within her ceramic studio. So she came in and did some pretty cool stuff that wound up being some like three-dimensional collage work and other things like that. So that's another good example. If you have other questions about what creative risk-taking or creative exploration is, let us know. Okay, just a few more slides here. I wanted to let you all know that this is something so special and unique that the Creative Exchange Fund offers is beginning April 21st. So after applications open, a few days after, we're going to open up an opportunity for you to book a one-on-one session with one of our staff members. So this is a really valuable opportunity for you to come to us with more specific questions after you've started your application. And you're trying to navigate, is my application good? Is this something that's going to be looked at? Or can I bring in this medium and do this thing in the studio? You can ask us anything. You have 30 minutes and you can book a session with one of our team members to dive a little bit deeper and help you feel confident in submitting your application. So keep that in mind. April 21st, it'll be available. This is a screenshot from our website where the pink hand is. One-on-one sessions with staff members. That registration button will become live on April 21st. I mentioned this earlier, but we have, I should count how many questions we have on our website, but it feels like 30. There's a lot of FAQs on our website. If you go to themedium.art/CXF and scroll to the bottom, there are a lot of frequently asked questions that we try to unpack for you. Again, to help you feel confident in applying. This is a good one for you to know about. How can I use this money? Funds must be used for direct project costs, including artist fees, project materials and supplies, travel costs. You gotta put gas in your car to get here. Consultant or contractor fees, if that's something you choose to do. Facilities rental, if that applies to you. We can talk about that in a moment. Any marketing and outreach, maybe you want to pay a friend to help design a flyer for your open studio or the pop-up that you want to do, or any workshops, or any health and safety costs that you want to invest in for your regular art practice. Funds cannot be used for things like capital expenditures, such as computers or permanent equipment. I think what's important here is that very first bullet point, artist fees. That's you. So pay yourself, and that's okay. You're going to receive $3,000 in a free studio. If your artist fees is $2,500, fine, Pay yourself $2,500. That's okay. And then you're going to use $100 to make a flyer and then another $100 to invest in some safety equipment. I'm just making stuff up, but we're not opposed to you paying yourself. That's why the whole program was created. So keep that in mind. But also know that we're paying attention to the feasibility. Are you really thinking through the multi-layers of your project and the expenses that come with that? So don't forget to include other things. It's okay to pay yourself, but think through the rest of your project and how you can spend that money creatively and consciously. Here's a few other FAQs. Can I use other spaces at the Medium that aren't included in my fund? Let's say that you're dreaming up a huge exhibition and you want to do something wild. We're not opposed to that, but it is limited to if the space is available and you would have to pay for that. So that would be something you would put in your budget. I want to um, pay X amount of dollars to rent a space. So email us, let us know that's something you want to do, ask us what that might actually cost, and then you could feasibly budget that in. Again, I'm just making up fake scenarios, but uh, you are welcome to use other spaces, but it's dependent on its availability and cost. How will the medium promote my project or event? You are responsible for marketing and promoting your events or workshops or programs, anything that you're doing from your studio. If you choose to do that, you don't have to. We're happy to help amplify your work by putting that on our social media and our newsletter, uh, especially if you send us promotional items or tag us on Instagram. It's really easy for us to reshare that. But you will need to plan accordingly and budget to create those marketing materials if that's something you want to do. We will not be making marketing materials for you and your project. We've already covered this, but can I sell tickets or art at my CXF event or program or residency? Yes, you can. And you are in charge of managing that, whether it's your Venmo or Cash App or your website. That's all on you, how you want to navigate that. We don't control a box office. We're not going to manage that for you. But the silver lining is you get to keep 100% of your sales. We're not policing that. We're not following up on that. And we encourage you to make money. Artist funds will be distributed. I haven't said this yet. This is an important thing to know. All of the projects will begin in August of this year, 2025, and will last and run through October 2026. So your residency will be somewhere within that window. We will give your funds to you as soon as you sign your contract. So just keep that in mind. You'll need to think through how you're going to save that money or put it aside to be used toward your residency, even if it's next year. And then all applicants will be notified by June 11th on whether or not you were selected or not. How will I know when my residency is going to take place? I haven't said this too much on this info session, but the Medium, y'all, the Medium's getting very popular. And so our calendar is filling up, which is fantastic. We are absolutely here for the creative community. And what that looks like is there are a lot of programs coming into the space and exhibitions and rehearsals and dance classes. There's a lot of moving parts here. Our team is managing that as well as the Creative Exchange Fund. And so we have already gone in on the back end of our calendar and carved out time for all of these residencies. So whenever you are looking at your application, there's going to be a few options for you to select different dates that you're available. I cannot say this loud enough. Please select all of them that you think you can make happen. And that's going to help increase your chances of getting one of them that works for you and us. So when you're looking at it, don't be like, man, I'd really like to do it during this period, and that's the only one I'm going to click. Please click a few options so that we can plug you in feasibly. Because the most unfortunate situation would be that you scored really well on your application, but you're only available during one date that 5 other people scored really well on their application and they're available during that one date also. And so then we're in a hard position of selecting really great applications to plug into one date. I hope I'm making that clear. If you have questions about that, let us know. But just to say it again, please select all dates that you can on your application. And then once your date is locked in, only under extreme cases will we move you. You're going to be locked in and we're not going to move your dates. So keep that in mind. Once, if you are accepted, you will get a contract from us and we will just tell you right then and there, here's your assigned period based on the dates that you selected. Here's the one period that we're giving you. And that's when you'll find out. So everyone finds out June 11th. I don't remember when our contracting is, but it's probably late June is whenever, or early July when you will get your contracts. And that's when you will know when your project takes place. If you have questions, let us know. Other commitments to this program is a virtual meet and greet on July 15th if you are selected. This is a Zoom, much like this, but we will have a slide with your name on it and you will have a red hot minute to quickly introduce your project and yourself to the rest of the cohort. And it's just a fun way to see who will be in your class of the Creative Exchange Fund, what they're working on, and then hopefully it might inspire cross collaboration or for you to circle up with someone else and work with them. Okay, last slide. This is where the apply button is going to live. This is a screenshot from our website. Right there where it says applications open April 17th, that will turn into an apply now button. So check back on April 17th and that's where the application will live. There it is. There's the Medium Artist Residency information. And now I'm going to open up the floor to Thalia to start hammering away at all these questions. I see the chat has 49 new messages since I looked at it last.
Yeah, like 47 of them are me. So you're welcome, everyone. I hope that somebody found that useful. All of the stuff that I popped in the chat, you can find on our FAQs on our website. So if you're just listening and driving or you didn't have access to the chat function, everything that I put in there can be found on our website in the FAQs. I'm actually going to turn the chat over to Cynthia for a minute while I talk at you about a few highlights. Specifically with this Creative Exchange Fund, the Medium Artists in Residence, I think that you need to know that this fund is all about actually using the studio space to create, to explore, to whatever. This fund doesn't just want to give you the money and you don't use the studio. This fund is for somebody who needs the space. So we really want you to be present and make work and engage with the space and the community during your time here. We even have like a little time clock where we track your hours here. Not that we're like following up on any of them, but it is cool to see at the end of a quarter how much those spaces were being used. And we use that information to advocate for more funding and more space to share with the community. Somebody asked a question about the award count. And to be clear, there are 8 Medium Artist Residency awards in total. All of those will be distributed. There will be 2 artists per quarter. So we have 4 quarters of CXF, so that's where the 8 comes in. So there's 8 available, 2 per quarter. I popped our facility specs in the chat as well. Again, you can find those online. It's our website /space, and then there'll be a button that says the facility specifications. If you're interested in like the details of those studios, how many outlets there are, exactly how much square space there is, floor to ceiling height, like the sink, whatever, all of that is in that facility specification document. If Amber mentioned about extra space, y'all, space is the resource that the medium has, and we want to share it far and wide. Each creative exchange fund has a space specifically assigned to it. So the space that you will be getting that is completely subsidized by this program is one of the studios, okay? And you'll have 24/7 access to that. If you are planning something else in conjunction with your residency, a workshop that you think the studio space won't be able to accommodate, I don't know, a film showing, or like something that is tangential to your project, we would love to help you get that in a bigger space or a space that accommodates that more. That process will just go through our like regular booking and reservation process. So that is totally subject to availability. And you would have to pay that fee for that space. Our spaces are super affordable if you haven't heard. But you would just need to like coordinate with me to see if we can make that happen. This year's application, we have tried to make the most simple. We totally revamped it with some inspiration from some other organizations throughout the country. We want this to be so simple. We want to get to the yes. That is our goal. We know that you are all amazing people, and we trust you. We trust that you need space and you need money to do your thing. So basically, this application is just, think of it in like three parts. Who are you? What do you want to do? How are you going to do it? That is the application. Um, so again, super simple. You will want to pay special attention to the questions about like creative exploration and risk taking. Again, that is the ethos of the medium, is supporting those risks and those exploratory ideas in a brave space. So be sure and like highlight that in that part of the application so the panelists can see that about your project. It is important to note for the Medium Artist Residencies that there's, quote, like no finished project that is required. Like you can just be in the thing, creating the things, and it can just be an in process period of time. Like we're not asking you to present a finished piece or completely finished pieces at the end. The Medium Artist Residencies is about access to space. So you need studio space. Tell us what you're going to do. Tell us why it's important. The budget part of the application, Amber touched on this, on like what you can use the funds for. Listen, if you want to pay yourself $3,000, pay yourself $3,000. You don't have to use, like, you don't, like, if that's your budget, I'm going to pay myself $3,000. That's great. This money wants to do that. So it's totally okay to do that. The application will ask for like a simple budget, but literally like bullet points. Like I'm going to pay myself $2,800 and then 200 of that is going to go to gas so I can get back and forth to the medium. That's an excellent budget. We're also not going to require you to report on that budget at the end of your project. We're not asking for receipts. You don't have to fill out a report. We completely trust you with this. In fact, the report that we ask all Creative Exchange Fund recipients to do at the end is actually just an assessment. It's just like a survey. So just know that. There were a few questions in the chat that were really, really good and would be so suitable for a one-on-one. Again, those are going to open April 21st. Those are assigned like in a round robin pool. So when you get on and say, I want a one-on-one, it'll like randomly assign you one of us. If there is a specific one of us that you would like to talk to, you'll also have that option in the Calendly link. And then finally, since you registered for an info session, you're going to get you're going to be like first notified of everything that's going on in this CXF timeline. So be sure and check your email. And then Instagram is the other way to keep up with us. Openings and other information tend to hit our Instagram first before they like make it into our newsletter. So make sure that you're following us there. I think that's it. That's all the notes that I had. Amber and Cynthia, it looks like you guys are all up in the chat too. We have just a few more minutes left. We want to be respectful of your time, and we have another info session at 1 for people interested in the platform fund. So I'm going to turn it back over to Amber to close us out. Again, you have a few more minutes to pop questions in the chat.
Thank you, Thalia. Appreciate that. This is a good opportunity, just the last couple of minutes, like Thalia said, to just ask questions. And no question is dumb. There's just a lot to understand with this. And so we still ask each other questions constantly about this program. So we cannot expect you to fully comprehend what this looks like. So please ask silly, simple, big, small questions. We're here for you. Also, you can email us. It would probably be myself or Thalia responding to you at cxf@cashcreate.org. We're watching that inbox for questions, and so hit us up because you're going to leave today and probably come away with more questions once we're gone.
Hey, Amber, what about people who may have never been to the Medium? Like,
That's what
how
I was
can
just
they come
thinking.
and check
Yeah.
us out?
So we are open to the public Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 to 5. You're welcome to just stroll through the front doors and check out the space. If you want to see what the classroom studios look like, come and do that. Wrap your head around it. Come sit in the room for a minute and visualize yourself in there if you need to, and think about what you could do in that space. That might help you in crafting your application. It's just good to know and immerse yourself in that space. So come through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 5. We're also open during public events that are advertised, and then on Mondays and Fridays by appointment. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a pretty easy time to flow through. And then like Thalia said, on Instagram at themedium_art, we're very active over there. Myself and Cynthia are watching the DMs. If you have a question, let us know. We will try to answer it there, or we might move you to email if it becomes a bigger conversation. That's cool too. We're here for you. I know we keep saying that, but we want this to be as easy as possible for you. We've really refined the application process this year, trying to make it as accessible and as easy, and try to strip it down to just the bare bones of what we actually need from you, and try to not add in a bunch of excessive things for you to just fill out for the sake of filling out information. We hope each of you submit an application. We'd love to see you in here. And if you have questions about the creative exploration and risk taking, holler at us. We're happy to bounce that around with you. Thalia said at some point, I forget how you said it. We live the Creative Exchange Fund. This is what we're doing. 8 hours a day. We're thinking about it, probably more than 8 hours a day, to be honest. And so we want your questions. We want to hear from you. So don't be intimidated. It's a really cool crew. And we look forward to working with you. Yeah, like Thalia said in the chat, just come to an event. We always have something going on here. So follow us on Instagram or look at our website to see what's coming up. But otherwise, I think we're going to stick a fork in it and be done for today. I appreciate you all so much for taking time out of your Wednesday morning to be here and to learn more. Don't forget, this is recorded. We're going to, by the end of today, we will have that up on the website. We already have the other 3 info sessions up on the website. So if you missed those and you want to learn about them, go watch it and get inspired. Otherwise, we'll see you in our inboxes or Instagram or when you flow through the doors here. We love you all and hope you stay in touch. Bye.